parents, families to our senior subject selection parent information evening. And first of all, big kudos to all these boys who are coming around for round 2. That's pretty impressive. It's been a pretty solid day. So it's good to see you boys back here with your families as well. My name's Peter Reddy. I'm the Assistant Principal for Teaching, Learning and Innovation here at the college. And look, it's been my pleasure to work with the boys today in what is undoubtedly, a really significant milestone. Okay, we spoke today about, junctures on educational journeys, and obviously, starting primary school is a big one, into secondary school is a big one. But I really think that, this where we are at now, this senior secondary, is another one, and it's a really important one. What I hope from today is that the boys are feeling somewhat, excited about the opportunities that lie ahead. And I also hope that, they're also stimulating some thought around what it is that they want to do. So look, it's been a really big day, but before we actually kick off, I might just hand over to Blair to lead us in the acknowledgement of land and the prayer.
Thanks, Peter. So I'm Blair McQuinney. I'm the acting head of Year 10 for this year, and I'm sure I've spoken to a few of you on the phone or sent emails, so it's nice to see faces. We'll just start tonight by acknowledging the Durrumbal people, traditional custodians of this land. We acknowledge their elders, past, present and emerging, for in them is the hopes, the dreams and the culture of Aboriginal Australia. What we'll also do is just start with a prayer. So as a Catholic school, we start in the name of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And this is our college prayer. Loving God, grant me the courage of St. Brennan to journey beyond the familiar and into the unknown. The conviction of Blessed Edmund to liberate the marginalised. The compassion of Christ to go forth with love. And the faith not to doubt that it will be given. And at school, we have a call and response as a part of our prayer, and I'll ask the boys to help me with this. So, St. Brendan, Our Lady Perpetual Help, live Jesus in our hearts. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Blair. Okay, so I'll just, try and give you a little rundown of what's happened today. So I think the first thing I'd say is period 1 today was all about senior schooling terminology and processes. And look, it's pretty dense. There's a lot of acronyms, there's a lot of language around what we covered today. And I guess that's certainly part of my job, I suppose, to help you to try and understand it, so that when it comes time to have those conversations with the boys, that you've got a background in what's happening. Another part of today was all about connecting with key staff who will be able to assist the boys on this journey. And I might just introduce some of those key people now who are around. I hope I can see them all. But I might just start, obviously, Blair McQuinney, Head of Year 10, who we know. Behind Blair is Mrs. Monique Jorgensen, Director of Academic Performance. Beside Monique is Mr. Matthew Cooper, Assistant Principal for Senior School. Behind Matt is Rebecca Lang. She is our Director of Pathways. To Rebecca's left, my right, is Mr. Michael Jensen. He is the Head of Department for Digital Technologies. Behind Michael is Jason Merrifield, Head of Department for English. To Jason's right is Kay Morley, Head of Department for Humanities. Beside Kay is Danielle Emery, Head of Department for Science. Mr. Andrew Lawrence is the Director of Skills and Training. Beside Andrew is Blake Henley. Anyone guess which department he's head of? PE. Hello, Blake. And beside Blake is Neve Timlin, and Neve is the head of year for Year 11, and she'll be working with the boys tomorrow. So that connecting with key staff continues. In the sound box also, senior music teacher, Mr. Corey Owens. And have I missed any other staff who are dispersed around? No, that's us. So we're here to support, and we know that there's a lot of questions, there's a lot to learn, and tonight is, first of all, I'll present and go through as much as possible, but afterwards there's definitely the opportunity to come and say hello, have conversations, ask questions. Okay, that's what this is all about. What else did we do today? The boys, after I had the boys in period 1 and we went through all of the terminology, and then we went away and they did I guess you could say a personal exploration. And the first part was learning about themselves. Okay, and the little mounted here shows a series of activities that they actually participated in, and it's basically up here, and they work through, looking at their interests, their skills, their values. But the key thing they got to was completing a career personality quiz. Okay, and based off the career personality quiz, what they produced is a career personality report. Okay, so it's a digital platform that the boys have access to now, and they'll have access to that for the rest of their time here at St Brendan's, where they can use this platform to go and learn about careers. But this career personality report, it basically provides information to them about their, career strengths and weaknesses, about their own personal attributes, but it also provided a series of potential job clusters or careers that they might be potentially suited to. Part of the activity was the boys actually completing some research to, have a look at some of these careers that they might be suited to, all right, and finding out a little bit about them. The purpose of this part is so that when they go into the workshops with the heads of department tomorrow to find out about all the subjects and things that are on offer here at school, they can sort of be thinking about, well, what did you do yesterday? What did you like? What were some of the careers? And then when they work with the heads of department tomorrow and talk about the senior subjects that we have on offer here at St Brendan's, it's about trying to dovetail all that together and get some guidance around what's potentially going to be a suitable subject for them. So that was periods 2 and 3. Period 4, well, we had an adult panel. So on the left, and look, it was a really mixed panel, and they shared their stories of what they've done in their careers. And in the research that the boys did today, they found out that the average person leaving school now will have 17 careers. Okay, 17 different jobs. And these guys today pretty much shared that. And on the left was Chris Hughes. He started as an electrician, went back to university, became a dietitian, started his own business. He's now working here at St Brendan's, but at the same time, he's creating his own app, okay, that he's using as part of his dietetics. Brian Barry, he discussed his experience in the army, going into engineering, and then back here as a teacher. Rory Wex, he discussed the fact that he did environmental science, but then, potentially didn't like that as much as he thought he might, transitioned into real estate, and then from there, owning his own business. Pat Eastwood, a huge background in a range of different things, but from surfer to policeman to now into politics. And then Bill Oram, well, there's a lot behind Bill. He's done a huge amount, but he talked about the fact that everything that he's done, it's somehow linked back to agriculture, including the fact that he was the stable hand for the royal horses for Princess Diana. So he certainly shared a good yarn. But these guys really told that story of, what you go into at the beginning, then things are going to change. One of the key threads that they all spoke about or alluded to in some way, shape or form was this idea of lifelong learning. You don't go into one thing and that's it. They all discussed the fact that they got somewhere and then things changed and they went and learnt this, they went and did that. They all talked about this. The fact that if they were in something that they weren't overly, enjoying, they all went and did something that they were passionate about. So I think that's sort of, those two key threads from today. I hope that the boys have taken those on board, because the reality of it is that they're never going to have it perfect for, where they want to go and what they want to do. okay? At this point in time, everyone thinks you need to know exactly, the boys might be sitting there thinking, well, we need to know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to go and do that. Well, that's really not the way it works. But what we really want is, I guess, for the boys to have a general direction. Okay, so thinking about after school, what do you want to do first? Which way do you want to go? What are you passionate about? And look to move into something into that space. So, with that, I'll start some of the real jargon. The senior pathways, I'll start with this. So I guess if you're thinking about what the boys might do in senior schooling, what path are they going to take? The first thing I'd say is that one of the key pathways is the ATAR pathway, all right? And that's obviously for those boys who are seeking entrance into university. And some boys know right now, I definitely want to go to university. I want to do further study. Another key pathway is the skills and training pathway. A lot of boys know, I definitely want to do a trade. Okay, I worked with a group of Year 10 boys today when they did the personal exploration and the career exploration activities, and there were a lot of boys in there who, when they looked at what their recommended jobs might be, they were multiple different trades. And there's a lot of boys in that space. In between though, there's also what we call a blended pathway, where students might actually pick some subjects from the ATAR, but also subjects from the skills and training. Okay, so I guess this is about trying to look at categories of pathways. All the pathways and subjects that the boys take, are they all going to be exactly one or the other? No. Okay, but it's, I guess, a general way for us to think about the trajectory they might go on. They've got a lot of things in common, despite these different names. And the first one is this. In senior school, all boys will study 6 subjects. Okay? Every subject will have 4 lessons per week, regardless of what type of subject it is. Okay? The next thing is the compulsory learning areas here at St Brennan's. Mathematics is a compulsory learning area. Every student will select one subject from mathematics from those 3. Okay, so math methods, general maths or essential maths. Every boy will pick one of those 3. You can't do 2 of them at the same time. There is another elective called specialist mathematics that they can do, but every boy must do one of those mathematical subjects. The next one is English. Same. Every student must do either English or essential English. And the last one is a Catholic school. Every student must do either study of religion and religion ethics. So if you think about it, we started with 6. Every student has to do 6. Every student has to do 1 from each of those key learning areas. So we're down to really 3. 3 elective type subjects that we're going to pick. This is the next thing that all pathways have in common. Okay, and it's the Queensland Certificate of Education, or what we probably would know as your senior certificate. Okay, this is the one certificate that all boys, regardless of the pathway that they're on, that they are working towards this Queensland Certificate of Education. It's a really, I guess it's a key accreditation that we hope that every boy can leave with. 95% of students that graduate from Year 12 in Queensland receive a QCE or the Senior Certificate. So if you're looking at the importance of it, it's fairly significant. If you're looking at job interviews and recruitment policies, the QCE, that certificate, the Senior Certificate, it's probably one of the first things that would be looked for. Okay. So what does it take to actually get the Senior Certificate or the QCE? What are the requirements? And the first one is that across their senior schooling, the boys need to accrue what we call 20 and we talk about QCE points a lot. Year 11, Year 12, 2 years. In each year, there's semester 1, semester 2. So in total, there's 4 semesters across senior. 2 in Year 11, 2 in Year 12. The boys do 6 subjects, Okay, so for each subject that they do, typically, there's 4 QCE points. Okay, so 4 times 6. When most boys start, they're on a trajectory to pick up 24 QCE points. Okay, how do they actually earn them? Well, they get 1 point per subject or per semester or unit that they pass. So when they go into year 11 in semester 1 and they're doing 6 subjects, hopefully at the end of semester 1, they've accrued 6 QCE points. If they continue on that trajectory, by the time they finish, they've got their 24. The next key requirement is what we call the literacy and numeracy tick, effectively, to say that they have actually passed 1 unit of English and passed 1 unit of mathematics. Okay, regardless of which math or which English it is, passing 1 unit or semester will give them the accreditation for that. In year 11, the boys can pick up that 1 QCE point from just unit 1, or they might get it from unit 2, or hopefully they get both. But if they were to miss it in year 11 and in unit 1 and 2, so they weren't successful in first semester or second semester, when they go into year 12, to get the point, they actually have to pass units 3 and 4 as a pair. Okay, so it gets more difficult. And what we've seen over the years is that boys that, if the boys are struggling in year 11, it can be challenging in year 12. But we do have other programs and courses that we can offer to support with that. The last key one here is the pattern of learning, and this is about, I guess, the idea of staying in subjects, okay? And like I just said to the boys, you've got to stay the distance in at least 3 subjects. You've got to start and stay in at least 3, okay? That's a criteria that the QCAA, the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority, has on senior schooling. The purpose of that is to stop people from just jumping around and randomly taking units here, there. Okay, it's about sustained and ongoing learning in subject areas. So that's the QCE, and all boys are working towards it. Typically, each subject studied across year 11 and 12, you can get 4 QCE points for it. Okay, most boys start on a trajectory towards 24. I put there 20 points in literacy and numeracy. If we look at boys who sometimes don't get it, okay, it might be literacy, it might be numeracy. The pattern of learning is not normally typically a problem. We can sort of control that, but it's about the accrual of points. And I guess when you look at that, you can sort of start to see why the initial subject selection is fairly important. Because if boys go into subjects there where they aren't going to be successful in, then they lose the unit point and need to change subject, and then they can at times be struggling to get 20 points. Okay, so the initial, if the subjects are selected well, we typically find there's not a huge amount of problems. When boys are changing subjects, okay, because they've, had difficulty, that's when it's more likely to happen. All right. I'm going to talk about the ATAR pathway first because to be honest, it's the most complex. So the next part of this presentation really focuses on this part, not because of, it's more important or there's more boys doing it, but just simply because it's more complex. There's more nuances to this. So yeah, definitely the most complicated pathway with the rules around what you have to do to get an ATAR. Okay, so we've just talked about QCE, the senior certificate, that's its own thing, all right? This is another thing. It's another key part to it. The first thing is, what does it stand for? Australian Tertiary Admission Rank. And the boys get a score, effectively from 99.95, being the top 30 students in the state, down to the very lower end. What's it used for? What do you actually get an ATAR for? Well, this organisation, Queensland Tertiary Admission Centre, they use it to put students into university when they leave school. Because if you're at a university that is oversubscribed, let's say 2,000 people trying to get into physiotherapy at the University of Queensland in Brisbane, then they've got room for 200. They need to cull 1,800, well, they need to not let 1,800 boys in. All right, so it's purely for university admission processes. That's all it is. Key popular universities and courses have higher ATAR requirements. Obviously in southeast Queensland, higher population, more people applying to go to those universities. All right, what does it take to get an ATAR? How do you actually get one? Well, first of all, we're going to talk about 3 types of subjects. Okay, so general in the blue there, or we often just talk about those as ATAR subjects, applied or non-ATAR, and then on the other end are the VET subjects. So how do you get an ATAR? First of all, you can do, well, the boys select 6 subjects, all right, but you can get an ATAR with 5 general subjects. Other combinations. You can get an ATAR with 4 general subjects and 1 VET at a certificate 3. And we'll talk about that type of subject in a second. And the next one is 4 general and 1 applied. Okay, so picking 4 from the blue and either 1 from the yellow at Cert 3 level or 1 from the middle in the applied level. A key part is that at the end of year 12, the student must pass English or essential English. Doesn't matter which one, but to get an ATAR, they actually have to get a C in English. Otherwise, QTAC doesn't give you an ATAR, doesn't give you the number. Okay, so that's just a part of their rules. Why? Well, the use of English at university, to the level of essential English, it would be expected that a student would be able to get satisfactory in essential English to go into university. That there shows how students gained ATARs in 2023. And you can see there, it's 70% of the ATARs given out last year were given out to students who used 5 general subjects to do it. Okay? You can see then the VET, okay, 12.5%, and then 4 general and 1 applied. There it is there. Okay, so typically speaking, boys who are pushing for a higher ATAR, you would expect normally that they would do 5 general subjects, but not always. We'll have boys this year who will get ATARs up well above 90, and they will do religion and ethics. Okay? Well, I predict they'll get above 90. I'm sure they will, but they will do 1 applied subject, and that's religion and ethics as an applied, which scales very well. Okay. So what are the general subjects that the boys have on offer that they can select from? Well, there they are. They're the subjects that the boys can select from when they do their selections. Will all of those subjects actually run? No. Right now, there's, for example, modern, ancient history, that's not running. Digital technology at the moment is not running. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander studies is a new one offered this year. So the rest of those subjects are operating this year, but that's what's on offer at the moment. So that's what the boys will be able to select from if that's their desired pathway. Key things with this, okay, like I said before, 4 units for each general subject. Typically the boys do units 1 and 2. Well, they do units 1 and 2 in year 11, and then sometimes they'll start unit 3 in term 4 of year 11. So for the ATAR, boys on the ATAR pathway, term 4 is when it really starts. 4 QCE points per subject, all right? So a student passes physics, they get 4 QCE points, versus a student passing an applied subject, they're going to get 4 QCE points as well. Okay, so the QCE doesn't factor in anything to do with the complexity of a subject. The general subjects are typically harder. The general subjects require the boys to do a lot more work. General subjects, in the end, at the end of year 12, the boys get a score out of 100 for each of the general subjects, and that score is used for their ATAR. Couple of things about all general subjects. First of all, the assessment. They have 3 internal assessments that are done here at school, and if you look at biology there at the top, you can see their first piece of assessment is worth 10%, the next one is 20 and 20, so they're the 3 internals, and then there's an external exam for 50%. Go down to mathematical methods, okay, the distribution of the marks on the internal assessments are different, but you can see the internal assessment for math methods and biology, okay, all are 50 marks or 50%. The external exams for all mathematics and science subjects are 50%. Other subject, you can see there geography, all right? You can see the external exam, all right? It's only 25 marks. Scores out of 100, 84, 72, 70. The ATAR is worked out on the best 5 subjects for the students. Okay, so if they did 6 general, then it's going to look at, well, what were the 5 best? Other thing about general subjects is that the boys have to complete external exams. Okay, so that there is the external exam timetable for 2024. The boys are going to start on Monday of week 4 in term 4, and you can see there, Monday, 21st of October, every single student who does English in Queensland on that day will sit that exam. There's no changes to that. Okay, so it's all fixed in. And this period of time for boys on the ATAR pathway and preparing for the external assessment is certainly really important. They've all now completed all their internal assessment. I think the last group of assessment occurred today with mathematical methods. That was the last IA3 to be completed in the school, and now the Year 12 boys on this pathway are just purely getting ready for external assessment. All right. Anyone got any questions? Okay, well, if you do, I'll certainly open the floor up to questions at the end. So if you do have things, or even afterwards, but I'd certainly recognise there's a lot going on here. All right, the next little gem to do with ATAR subjects is this, the idea of scaling. All right. Now, if we see here subject 1, let's call subject 1 physical education, and let's call subject 2 physics. Now, if we look at this result here, A, it's going to come across here to about 90. But you can see for PE, what actually happens is it would scale down. All right? So a score of 90 in PE, what actually happens is QTAC gets that, and they need to compare that to a score of 90 in physics. And what they work out from looking at all the students' results is that a 90 in physics is a lot harder to achieve. So the 90 in physics, it would scale up, the 90 in PE would scale down, and that's how they, I guess, create equity between assessments that are of different levels of complexity. All right? So the boys get a score out of 100, it then gets scaled, okay, for their best 5 subjects. They all get added together, and then they work out, well, who's got the highest, who's the top 30 students in the state, and they get 99.95. And then they just work their way down in increments using a mathematical function to work out how they all sit. Here's an example of how that would look over the last 4 years of external assessment with a raw score of 70 in each of those subjects. You can see mathematical methods at the top, scaled last year to 85.6. Okay? Study of religion, 70, scaled to 73.9. As you work your way down, okay, this student's doing 6, and at a raw score of 70, PE actually outscaled biology, all right, which changes as the biology result increases, all right, but PE scaled to 61.2. Now you might be looking at that thinking, well, why on earth would you do PE? Well, I can tell you by looking at the Year 12 results right now, there's about 4 ATAR boys in that class where PE is there right now, is providing their greatest score. All right, so even with the predictions, even with the scaling, PE is still going to be their best subject. Why? Because they're passionate about it, they love it, okay, and they go and work hard at it and do well at it. So I need to provide this information to you so that you know, but I'm certainly not saying, oh, go and use all of that to, weigh up all your decisions. If you're really shooting for a high ATAR, like maybe that would be the case. You'd certainly, I'd be more than happy to have conversations around combinations if you really wanted to do that. But typically speaking, I recommend go and do the subjects you're passionate about and you're going to enjoy, because they're the ones you're going to work harder at and do better at. Okay? All right, moving away from ATAR or general subjects to applied subjects, and as I showed before, you can actually get an ATAR, 4 general subjects and 1 applied. Okay, so there will be boys this year who will, in fact, get ATARs with essential mathematics and essential English. Okay, but that's the list of applied subjects that are on offer here at school. Now, they are less complex, they're easier. Okay, that's the honest truth of it. These subjects are easier for the boys to work through. They're definitely more focused on life skills, definitely a greater practical focus. Okay, like the general subjects though, again, 4 units, units 1, 2, semester 1, semester 2 in year 11, units 3 and 4, semester 1 in year 12, and then semester 2 in year 12. Formative and summative. Summative means, well, that's the part that's going to get used for the overall result if it goes towards the ATAR or just the overall result in the end. And again, 4 QCE points. Applied subjects assessment, 4 by internal assessments. So there are no external exams for applied subjects. It's all done here at school. And rather than getting a mark out of 100, it's like junior school where the boys get a mark on the A to E continuum. It includes practical. Out of the general subjects, PE has a practical component. It'll be very small for the boys next year, but the applied subjects, there is definitely practical. So, for example, surfing, fishing, boating, okay, playing musical instruments, sport and recreation. So there can be practical components there. Essential mathematics and essential English, they do have a piece of assessment that is written by the QCAA, and that's what we call the CIA. Aside from those 2 pieces of assessment, all assessment completed for applied subjects is developed here at St Brennan's by our teachers, delivered here. Okay? The internal assessments in the general subjects are also developed by us, but they go through a very rigorous process around endorsement and ensuring quality assessment. However, these tasks are still at that level using the same internal processes. The next type of subject, so we've done general, we've done applied, and this is the last key type of subject, and these are the vet subjects. All right, so those boys on the skills and training pathway, those boys who are looking to get apprenticeships, often pick 3 of these subjects. So they'll do their maths, their English, their RE, and then they'll pick up maybe 3 of these. Some boys might pick up 2, okay? But you can see what's on offer there, and look, what I would say is that it's a privilege of mine to go around the school at times and get to see what actually happens in these classes. The work that the boys produce, the way they get to go about their learning is phenomenal. Engineering pathways is your metal fabrication, your welding, your grinding. Construction pathways is the building. Boys actually build timber frames, they sheet them, they put electrical wiring in. Obviously don't hook it up, but they basically set it all up. It's phenomenal. They plaster it. It's watching the boys work is like going to a construction site, okay? And you can see those certificate courses working down. There's plenty of options there. The Certificate 2 courses, and I said at the beginning, most courses, okay, you do 6, you get 4 QCE points for each, all right? Cert 2 is 4 QCE points, okay? Versus the Certificate 3s, a Certificate 3 can offer 8, so you can see there the fitness and the information technology. They can offer 8 QCE points. Cert 3 in aviation only gets 6. But the bottom 3, if someone's on an ATAR pathway, they can do 4 general plus one of those Certificate 3 and get an ATAR. Okay, so it would be possible for a student to do 4 general subjects and then 2 certificate courses and get an ATAR. A lot of the boys, Elijah Walker, College Ducks last year, he did Certificate 3 in fitness. Okay, he didn't use it as ATAR. It wasn't one of his 5, but he did it because he loved it. And he said, this is my release to get out of the grind. And I know that lots of boys use the vet, well not use, but they enjoy the vet courses for that very reason, because they've got a heavy load everywhere else and they go and take these to sort of lighten it up. A couple of things around them, there's often a levy, okay, so typically, $300, potentially a little bit more in some of the engineering areas. The other one, the Certificate 3 in aviation and the Certificate 2 in electrotechnology. I think cost-wise for those, they're around $1,500. However, the boys can access what's called VETIS funding, vocational educational training in schools, and that will actually pay for them to do it. However, they can only use that once. Okay, so if a student wanted to do the Certificate 2 in electrotechnology and the Certificate 3 in aviation, and I was their parent, I'd be saying pick one, mate. Okay, because the extra one's going to force you to shell out a fair bit of money. But can you do it? Yeah, you can if you want, if the student really wanted to do it. The Certificate 3 in Information Technology is a new one on offer next year. It'll be a course that will be offered solely offline, so the boys would pick up a study line for that one. It's actually a sponsored certificate by BHP because of the energy sector that we are in. They are paying for students to take that course on should they choose. Again, it's an expensive one, but it's fully funded. And if students decide to choose that as part of the subject selection process, we'll be looking to enrol them pretty much straight away because it takes a little while to get enrolled. You actually have to get it paid for by BHP first before you can kick it off. So if students do pick that, we'll be getting the ball rolling straight away. Other things to think about with vet subjects, the Certificate 2s give 4 QCE points, like it says there, but if the students don't finish it, they won't get 4 QCE points, all right? It's not done on semesters. It's sort of done on the overall across the course where they're looking and getting competencies done. So they can get what's called partial completion, typically speaking, get half the course done, get half of the 4 points, get 2 points. Most boys are able to, by the end of the course, get the full course completed. A lot of boys use these to go straight into work. Okay, so the Certificate 3 in Fitness, a student, once they have that accreditation that's nationally recognised, they can go and work in a gym. Not as a personal trainer, but they can actually go and work as someone who's, helping out, running group sessions, that type of thing. The Cert 2 in tourism, they get certificates in RSA, Responsible Service of Alcohol, baristas certificates, that type of thing, going straight into work. So there's lots of great skills that the boys can take with them as they go. Couple of things about the assessment. Competent or not yet competent. Okay, so there's no A to E or score out of 100 for these type of courses. If a student does a piece of assessment, they get observed wiring up a PowerPoint at the end of year 11 and they can't do it, well, they'd be assessed as not yet competent. If they can do it at the end of year 12, well, then they're competent. So it's not like it's pass, fail, but when you get to the end, you want to be competent. Okay, there's practical observation. For example, in rural operations, there's tractor operation, there's chainsaw operation, there's mixing two-stroke petrol. Okay, they're all practical skills that the boys, obviously there's subject matter and learning behind it, but they have to be observed doing it. So it's, the vet subjects have, I guess, that competency-based approach, and sometimes they're called competency subjects. All right, so what I'm showing you there are is a combination of a student's senior education profile, and you can see that student there did 6 general subjects. Okay, chemistry, English, math, methods, PE, physics, study of religion, that were the 6 general. And unit 1, you can see all those ticks in that column right there. Okay, so that's their year 11 work, semester 1. Okay. So unit 2, semester 2 of year 11, and then we get over into year 12, and there's the 3 internal assessments and the external assessment to give a final result. So that student there, obviously ATAR eligible, obviously on an ATAR pathway. 24 QCE points for that student. Okay, 6 subjects, each of those general are worth 4. Next student started with 6 general subjects. You'll note there, if you look at music, you're missing 2 ticks. So what happened there? Units 3 and 4, well, they decided that given their load, they actually decided to stop studying music in year 12, okay, giving themselves just a little bit more time. When that music lesson would have occurred previously, they picked up a study line. Okay, so QCE points, how many QCE points would that student receive? Well, 22, okay, because they don't do units 3 and 4 for music. Would they get an ATAR? Yep, with the 5 there. 5 general plus a vet, okay? Obviously the 5 goes straight towards it. Like I said before, some boys will do the vet courses even if they are on the ATAR pathway. Okay, so there's the certificate 3 in fitness, and that's a really good example of a student who's on a heavy academic load and doing a subject there that they're going to really just enjoy. 28 QCE points for that, okay? Because 5 times 4 for the general, plus 8 for the certificate 3, okay? Now the other really great thing about certificate 3 courses is that Central Queensland University, James Cook University, will enable in some courses for students to get entrance with a certificate 3. So that's certainly something to think about if a student is not keen or a little bit undecided where they're going. The certificate 3 keeps that door ajar. Not that you can't go back and get in with other ways with courses, but the certificate 3 could, at the end of year 12, give access straight into university without getting an ATAR. All right? And so there's certainly ways for that to occur. Next example here, this student did 4 general plus 1 applied plus 1 vet. Okay? They are definitely ATAR eligible from the 4 general. Religion and ethics, the applied, that is 1 applied subject that gives a very solid scaled score of an A in religion and ethics, gives a scaled score of near I think it was 78 last year. Okay, but it's around 80 typically. Okay. How many QCE points? Well, 28. Okay, because they've done the certificate 3 in fitness again. The applied subject, religion and ethics, gives 4 QCE points as well. There's the next one. Okay, this student has done English, general mathematics, done the religion and ethics, and then 3 vet courses. Okay, that student would not have been ATAR eligible. They didn't get an ATAR. But what they did is they followed their passion. They've done English and general mathematics, which are ATAR subjects, because they could. And that was one of the key things that came out of today with talking with the panel of students. They talked about the fact that, if you're capable of doing it, you're getting a B in general mathematics in year 10, then why not go and work hard and really challenge yourself? Okay, so that's an example of a student from last year. That's exactly what they did. They got an A in general mathematics, which is not easy. That student would have, I think, was 2nd or 3rd overall in general mathematics, not going for an ATAR. Okay, so it's impressive. All right, 24 QCE points, 6 4s, 24, no cert 3. Okay, so they end up with 24 QCE points. So there's lots of different ways to go about it, and every student's going to have, I guess, their own approach. And I guess right now it's about trying to think for the boys, well, potentially where do I want to go when I finish school? What's my passion? Where do I want to go that year after year 12? And trying to get on a pathway that will enable them to make that transition from year 12, make that next step nice and clean and crisp. We are now going to call down our panel of experts, and we'll come on down, boys. So today in period, we'll give these fellas a clap. Good on you, boys. Thanks for coming in. Today, these boys came in period 5, and they shared their journey, their story, I suppose, with senior schooling. And we had a few extras and had to cut them back, but basically, and given time, I'm going to ask them to we'll push through it pretty quickly, but the questions I asked the boys today were, tell us about your subjects you picked, okay? Why did you choose those subjects? And then they sort of shared some story or some learning along the way that they've experienced in their process of working through senior schooling. So basically what I'm going to ask the boys to do is just to introduce themselves. They're going to talk about their story, so the subjects they picked, why they did it, and then other little things that have happened along the way in regard to their subject selection process. So we'll start with Matt Campbell. Is this on? Yes, it is, Matt. There you go. So Matt Campbell, take it away. Tell us about your story.
So, I'm Matthew Campbell. So the subjects that I do in grade 12, I do math methods, general English, study of religion, and then I do chemistry, specialist maths, and music theory and practice. So I originally started with those subjects, except I did the ATAR music instead of the MTP. But then after about 3 terms, I'm like, no, I don't like doing this. So I went to the other music, and that actually worked a lot better because it was more like centered on my music interests, I guess. Because that was the main reason I picked music, is like a passion, I guess. I just really like music. So yeah.
And the result of changing music, how's that been?
Well, I originally picked the ATAR because I wanted to do 6 ATAR in case, I threw English or something. But I realised I didn't need 6 ATAR, and it's kind of just taking the pressure off, because I can use it as like a study line around when it gets really busy. I can just use it to like de-stress, I guess. It's just like it's not really a free period, but it's just like a period where I can just kick back and just pursue my interests.
Sounds good. Okay, Dan Reese.
My name's Dan. Last year I picked chem, methods, physics, SOR, English, and I did a Cert 3 in aviation. So it was a 1-year course, and I thought there's no point having a study line in grade 11 because I thought I could handle the work. So this year, at the start of this year, that aviation course ended and turned it into a study line. So now my 5 ATAR subjects, I just work really hard on them and rely on those 5 instead of having a 6th one as a backup.
So you've picked up a study line where that happens. Okay, so you pick up an extra 4 hours per week to study in the library. All right. Matt, you're still playing your music in that time. Fellas, you're both on the typical 5 general ATAR pathway. Can you tell us about the work? Yeah, what does it take to do the 5 general?
Yeah. So it's pretty full on, I'd say. But the more effort you put in, the more you get out of it. So you can always, just slack off and do nothing, but it's just going to make it harder in the long run.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. So, if you put work in early, the stuff in grade 12 will be a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's what I think, yeah.
Yeah. As, I do specialist, which is a really tricky subject, but it's just about putting the work in. Don't try and just cram it all in the last 2 weeks, because that doesn't work. You just gotta, if you can spread it out over 6-7 weeks even, then that just makes it way easier when it comes to exams. And yeah, it helps if you like the subject you're doing as well. If it's a really hard subject and you don't like it, then it's going to make it really hard. But yeah.
Matt, you're talking about 6 or 7 weeks there. So, how many hours are we talking across your sort of typical study week? What are you doing there?
It depends on what stage of the term you're actually. It would build up.
Yep.
The early part of the term, the first 4 weeks, you wouldn't do that much, but then it would build up gradually. But I'd say even if it's just reading over your notes before you go to bed at night, it's just 10 minutes a day. That adds up. 10 minutes a day for 5 weeks is near on 5 hours of work. So
what about just straight before the exams? How many hours, at that point in time?
Oh, I spent a long time revising for the specialist, so...
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Maybe about 20 hours in the week before specialist exam.
Okay.
And maybe about 15 for methods, but that is because specialist is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, it's doable. It's doable. You just got to have you got to be able to put the workload in and sort of stay on the grind set mindset, as you refer to it. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. We'll keep going. Riley Isles, share your story, please.
I'm Riley Isles. In grade 10, I decided to take a very different pathway compared to these two boys. I sort of had what I wanted to do pretty set. I wanted to go out and do a automotive electrical apprenticeship. That was sort of what I've been wanting to do for ages. Everyone told me that it was good pay. It was just what I wanted to do. And at the start, I really thought that I could do some general subjects, so general English and general math. But I was persuaded by some of my mates that I was just going to go do the easy ones. I was going to bludge through school. It was going to be easy. That was my mindset back then. And I chose essential English, essential maths, religion and ethics, aquatics. I chose MTP, same as Matt. And what were my other ones? It was tourism and vocational automotive. And I, at the start, it was really fun with all my mates in class. Was just trying to enjoy it. But I really found that as it went along, it was just too easy. With math, I wasn't pushing myself. Same with English. It was just I regretted it a fair bit because I knew I could have done better, but I chose not to. You should really try and push yourself these next 2 years, because as soon as you get out of school, if you don't know what you're going to do, it's the best thing for you, really, because you're going to have so many opportunities as soon as you get out.
Yeah, thanks, Riley. Riley shared today that he looked at, the certificates that he was going to get with, the responsible service of alcohol and the baristas stuff, and then he talked about aquatic practices as well, all the certificates, which has been fantastic. But his final message to the boys was, he said, I could have done general math and general English. I was definitely good enough, and I took an easy way. And he thought it was really really big of him to say, I actually regret doing that. But Riley, you'll continue working and get wherever you want to go through the work that you do. Harrison Hill.
Yeah, my name's Harrison, and the subjects I picked in Year 10 were essential English and essential math, and then I did construction, engineering, and Cert 3 in fitness.
Okay. What else have you done? Year 12, you told the boys today that you went and tried some things. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I started an apprentice, chippy apprenticeship, and I probably did it for like 4 or 5 months, and I didn't really like it. So I'm going to uni now, primary school teaching. So yeah.
Okay, so how? So you weren't on an ATAR pathway. You've gone and tried a school-based apprenticeship, and now you're going to university. How's that happening?
I got a principal's recommendation, and now I need to do like a steps course in the uni instead of doing like general math and general English like from the start, which I regret doing now. But
So the steps course will actually enable you to get the accreditation, the math and the English to do that.
Yep.
Okay. So started a school-based apprenticeship, didn't like it, had to come back, and is now pivoting, going in another direction. Okay. Cooper Jukes.
Yeah, I'm Cooper. In year 11, I originally chose Essential English, General Math, Religion Ethics, Engineering, Automotive, and Rural Ops. But then at the start of year 12, I started an apprenticeship doing diesel fitting, so I dropped Rural Ops and took up the study line.
Okay. So you're back to 5. When are you doing your apprenticeship? What's happening there?
Since it's back home, I do it over the holidays, and I get a week at the end of term if I don't got any exams in that, and a week at the start.
Okay. So you're doing a school base during your holiday period and outside of the exam block, but at the end of term if possible and beginning of term.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to accrue days that way. Ryan Brown.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. The subjects I chose for Year 11 were Essentials, Math and English, Religion and Ethics, Cert 2 Automotive and Engineering.
Okay. You told your story today as well about what you're doing now.
Yeah, started me diesel fitting apprenticeship like Cooper and dropped Rural Ops for that because I'm doing 2 days a week with that.
Okay. So what days are you out of school?
Every Monday and Tuesday.
Monday, so you're only school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you're still doing 5 subjects?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So when you're at school, how many study line lessons do you end up falling in your 3 days?
2.
2. Okay, so that's pretty solid to keep working there. How are you finding keeping up with it, being out of school 2 days a week?
Yeah, keeping up with it all so far, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Lockie Davis, tell us your story. Yours was an interesting one.
I'm Lockie. In grade 10, I did the applied pathway, so I did the 5 ATAR and then 1 vet. I originally chose physics, math methods, SOR, general English, my cert in electro, and something else. I forgot it now. But yeah, that's what I originally picked. But
Why? Why'd you pick those? What were you trying to do?
So how I picked my subjects was I went on Google, searched up highest paying jobs, and engineering came up. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll cruise through that. Realised it wasn't that easy, and then back in essential English, general math, and business now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good share, and he was really honest about it. He just said, boys, I picked subjects to try and earn as much money as possible, okay? It was a good message because it wasn't for you, it wasn't down your interests, and it's also about weighing up, is it really right for you and the way where you're at with your learning, okay? So it's all very personal to the individual. Now, I'm going to come back to you for 10 seconds each, all right? And the question that I want you to answer in 10 seconds is if you had to give one bit of advice, all right? If you had to give one bit of advice, what would it be to the boys who are picking their subject? So I'll go back down the other end, all right? So pass it along. Matty, 10 seconds. We won't have a stopwatch, but we'll keep it short. What's your tip?
Basically, my tip is if you're looking at a subject and it scales really well and you think, oh, I could do that subject, but you don't really like it that much, don't do it. Like if you don't like maths, don't do specialist. It will just make it so much harder.
Thanks, Matty.
I'd say you have to find balance because I went way too hard too early in grade 11, and I felt burnt out by about August. So I had to slow down and organise things. Once I got my P's, it was kind of like an escape, like take a drive, just reset, and now I'm back like on balance. I've found everything, and I don't feel as burnt out, and I got way more motivation.
Sorry, Dan, but that was a great share that Dan had with the Year 10 boys today. He talked about how hard he worked in Year 11 and the fact that he sort of, rode himself into the ground with how hard he was working and had to just take stock and get that balance back. And it was fantastic of you, Dan. Riley?
Yeah, probably don't get swayed by opinions. Like, if you really want to do something and someone's like, oh, I did that one I was a teenager, I hated it. Like, you're not them. You're your own person. Go do what you want to do. Like, and also don't listen to your mates.
What was it? Don't what? Don't listen to your mates. Okay. Thanks, Riley.
Yeah, nah, pretty much the same thing. Just don't bludge with all your mates. Like, actually have a go in school because, yeah, it's a smarter thing to do.
Thanks, Harrison.
My way, just choose your subjects wisely. That's what's going to set you up for the future. Like, even if you don't know what you do, if you like something, go that way. Don't follow your mates.
Yeah. No one's going to have any mates after this.
Mine would be if you're passionate about something, go for that, and not waste your time following your mates, really.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan said today, he said, I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing now. And it was a really contrast. Harrison went and did the same thing and said I couldn't stand it, but Ryan said I absolutely love it. So it was interesting. Lockie?
Yeah, pick the subjects you enjoy, because you're in them for 2 years, so might as well do something you like.
Yeah, forget about being rich, hey?
Yeah.
We might give these boys a round of applause. Thanks, boys. Thank you. You boys are right to sit back or... Oh, yeah, sorry, of course, yeah. Grab a seat, boys. We'll just actually, are there any questions for the boys? They're always the best to get the answers from. Sorry, I should have gone to that.
I think most of us probably did work experience. I did drafting work experience and then a bit of surveying just to see if I enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of the most helpful things you'll ever do.
Yeah, I done the work experience through the schoolie, and then they come in and just checked up on all of us, and then got me an apprenticeship from there.
All right, we might not go along the line, but there's a definite affirmative yes on work experience. Yeah. All right, any other questions from boys, families? Yep. How many of these boys decided they were going to go to university based on your selections from here? How many? 1, 2, 3, and Harrison's going as well, so 4. There's 4 boys on that panel who will go to Yeah, the question is Lachlan still going? Yep, tell.
Well, I've got since I'm doing the applied, I got my uni, so if I wanted to go to uni, I can do that. Like, it got a high enough ATAR to get into something like surveying, but I've also got the cert to back up. Like, I can be an electrician as well through that, so...
Yeah, so Lockie
50-50.
changed subjects out of a lot of really hard general subjects, but still maintained his ATAR eligibility based on the changes that he made on the subject lines that were available. So it's not like he's jumped out of that pathway altogether. He's probably just gone into subjects on that pathway that are more suited to him. Any other questions for the boys? Yep. The question is, so when did Lockie actually change? When did he move out of the subjects?
Term 1's a great indicator. Like, that'll sort you out.
Yeah. Yeah, so term 1, he went out, but this year, Lockie made a change in English at the beginning of this year. Okay, so he spoke about that today, his concerns with not passing general English, and he said, I went to essential English. He's still doing 4 general, does essential English, and is still ATAR eligible. So... changed early and then made one more later on. You can't change once you start units 3 you go into units 3 and 4, you can't change. If there are going to be changes, they happen at term 1. So if boys are even getting close then we're going to have those conversations around, are you sure this is the best way to go? Because once you drop QCE points, and if you're not passing in Unit 1, the writing is on the wall. That's the honest truth of it. It doesn't get any easier. If you're not passing Unit 1, Term 1, then our recommendation is going to be to change, because history tells us that that's not a great way to go. Any other questions? Mason? Is work experience really worth it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Harry Hill?
is.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, well, it kind of just helps to see if you want to do it or not, like the week. Like, I kind of enjoyed the first week, and then after that kind of went to rubbish, but yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any others? All right, we'll give them a clap again. Thanks, boys. All right, but they'll be floating around if you did want to ask them any further questions. Thanks very much, fellas, and they did a fantastic job today. And I said to the Year 10s after they left that, you know, the boys come back and speak, and they share all. And it was fantastic what they did. Really authentic, really honest. All right, we've got about 3 minutes to go here. So, other options. We talked about general, applied, and vet, those three, but there's other things you can do. All right, we looked at the fact that numeracy and literacy are really important. Well, we do have short courses that can help out. If there are subjects that we don't offer, okay, then there is the option of school of distance education. Okay, so you can actually take them up. It's not easy. The boys who have gone into those subjects previously have found it difficult to sort of do all that. Well, you know, they have a teacher obviously, but they never see that teacher. It's all online, it's all self-guided in the library by themselves. It's a challenge, but it's possible, okay? There hasn't been anyone doing that for a long time here that I'm aware of. The other thing is tertiary study. You know, if boys want to go to TAFE, they want to pick up a specific course, then just like a school-based apprenticeship where boys are going off for a day, well, then you can do the same thing with TAFE. The CQU SUN program, SUN stands for Start University Now. Boys sometimes want to start their university courses. Eli Harding last year, Year 12 student, he actually completed 3 university subjects across Years 11 and 12. Okay, we did 1 at Central Queensland University, then 2 through Queensland University of Technology. So there are other things on offer, and well, not on offer, but if you want them, come and have conversations around it, because, you know, I would like to hope to think that if a student wants to come to St Brennan's and get an ATAR of 99.9, then they can do that. We've had boys, you know, get 99 and above. If they want to do other things, well then let's have a look and try and make it work. This one was covered by those guys there, the school-based apprenticeship. That's obviously something that is of interest to the boys. 1 or 2 days on the job per week. Ryan Brown was doing 2 days per week. It's pretty full on to do that. You definitely wouldn't want to be doing any general subjects at the same time. A lot of boys do 1 day a week. I think last year there was about 20 students who were doing school-based apprenticeships. Okay, so you can pick up a study line if you do start a school-based apprenticeship. They typically start in Year 12 because the boys need to get their licence before someone wants to take them on. Mr. Andrew Lyons, Director of Skills and Training, if boys are interested in that, it is the responsibility of the student to source the apprenticeship, but working with Andrew, he will liaise with the employer, liaise with us here at school, the QCAA, and make it all come together. 2 QCE points per 50 days. So if you're looking at someone like Cooper Jukes here before, he's doing it on his holidays, say he does 2 weeks, a week before, a week after, well, 5 days, 5 4s, 20. Okay, so that's 1 holiday period. He does that again, he's at 40, still hasn't yet got QCE points. He would have to do another 10 days before he would get the QCE points. I asked him today, Cooper, is that a concern for you? He said, no. He said, I've already got the points that I need. I don't need the 2 points for the school-based apprenticeship. Mr. Lawrence is running a whole session tomorrow morning with the boys on school-based apprenticeships, traineeships, that type of thing. Where to from here? So this is today, this is what we've done with the boys. Tomorrow is all about subject information presentations. Hopefully the boys are thinking about what they're interested in, where their passions lie, and tomorrow it's now go and listen to the heads of department, find out about those subjects that are the big lists of subjects that were there, what's on offer, what do they do in them. They will deliver on everything in their department. And then it's time for the boys to have a really good hard think. And next week, okay, 14th of August, is when they will select their initial subject preferences. Okay, so that is Wednesday next week. As you can imagine, a school of 1,000 and trying to produce the timetable that gives everybody as many of their first preferences as possible, we need to make a start on it early. So confirming those initial preferences, Mr. Herning, Director of the timetable, effectively, he is going to start on that, okay, in week 7, putting the timetable together. So effectively, based on the subjects that the boys select for Year 11 for 2025, we will go away and generate the timetable that gives them as many of their preferences as possible. Okay, we don't say here are our lines, pick from that. We say you tell us what you want, we'll do our very best to produce a timetable that supports you to do subjects that you want to choose. Can we give everybody everything they want? No. Do we try? Absolutely. Okay, it's the best system to try and give everybody their first, second preferences at least. All right. Next is this part. So between the 16th and the 28th, the timetable gets produced. So at the 28th is when we do senior education transition plans or set plans. And this is where we will pull every Year 10 student in and say, here are your selections. Okay? This is what you selected. This is the timetable. Maybe you didn't get that subject, or hopefully, yes, you did get all of your subjects. We will then check to see that, yes, these subjects are the correct choice for students. Okay, so we'll look at how are they performing in English in particular, in maths in particular. Have they selected the right subjects there? They're probably our areas where there can be some concerns. Some of the sciences can be in the same boat, but we'll basically have a look at and have a conversation with each of the boys around, are you selecting subjects that are best for you? But the set plan enables us then to make changes as well. Okay, so it's possible that after the 16th, someone goes, I don't want to do that anymore, then at the 28th, we'll go and reconfigure and go from there. The timetable lines will not change at that point in time, but we can move students around and reconfigure their selections. And like the boys said, okay, if things don't work out in the subjects that they pick up, then term 1, we look to make changes. Okay, so that's where to from here. And I guess I appreciate that the night is shooting well and truly over the runway for how long we wanted to go, but if there are questions, we'll be floating around now, certainly more than happy to field any of those. As we move outside now, the heads of department and all the key staff are here to have conversations. So if you had anything that you really wanted to find out about particular subject areas, then please, go and say hello to the heads of department. And likewise, Mr. Lawrence is there, Mrs. Jorgensen, and myself. So, look, the thing for me is thank you very much for being involved. We appreciate it's a big step. But your support with the boys and the conversations that you have with them is certainly going to help them to, I guess, get what's right for them. And that's what it's about. It's about us now all working together to try and put the boys on a pathway where they're going to be happy, all right? They're going to do their very best. They're going to work hard and hopefully finish here at St Brennan's with what they wanted to set out to achieve from, this point tonight. Okay, so look, thank you very much for being here, and please enjoy some refreshments outside. The catering team are there, so there's refreshments there for everyone to participate in and have some conversations if you choose. Thank you, and good evening. Good night. Thank you.